Hello, guys. Welcome back to Beyond the Whistle with me, Matty K, and I've got my co-host back with me. Hi, Grace.
Hello, you're right.
Yeah, I might not edit that beginning bit out. Might just leave it in.
I'm just like useless today because I just genuinely started talking when you were recording the meet. I've never done that before, and I think that tells you that I have reached my limit of common sense.
To be fair, we've just spent a good 20 minutes, half an hour talking before we actually start recording today, so all is forgiven, mate. Um,
Thanks.
right, normally, if you, well, actually, I'll tell you what we'll do first. If you've not seen this before, make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Ring the bell icon is something that apparently I've got to say. Make sure you do whatever it is you need to do on whatever platform you are watching on. You get told by all your favourite content creators, including us. If you want to check out our social media as well, we currently have a giveaway going on for a mystery football shirt. We're going to pick the winner at the end of the World Cup. Regardless of how long England's is, we're going to wait right till the very end just to keep you in suspense. Grace, normally what we do is we'd go through and have a little recap on some other games. We're going to drive straight into that England game. Oh my God. Is that all right with you?
Of course it is.
Oh, last night. Should we want to kick us off with the lineups? Because that's how we've been doing things.
Yes, I absolutely can once they're up on my screen. Give me 2 minutes. Here we
Wow.
go. Right.
Okay, you good? You good to go?
Yeah, got it. I just needed a buffer moment. Yeah, right. Started off with Pickford in goal, O'Reilly on the left, Gay, Konsa, and Kwanzaa was back today on the right hand side. Anderson and Rice in the middle, Bellingham down the centre, Gordon on the left, Saka on the right, and Kane up top. Any surprises for you?
Not really. You could maybe argue Gordon was maybe a surprise. Kwanzaa, I think we kind of expected because there was rumours of Spence being injured before the game. I thought he was injured, like injured, not like he couldn't start and he's going to make a cameo later on. What a cameo it was, by the way. But yeah, we'd heard about that just before kickoff anyway. So not, yeah, like I said, maybe Gordon you could maybe argue as a surprise, but not too many shocks for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think Gordon's probably the only one that was sort of maybe raised an eyebrow when it came up on the team sheet. But to be fair, it's not like Rashford really solidified that spot. That spot is still very much up in the air. And like I've banged on about, yeah, Gordon hasn't shown it necessarily in the World Cup, um, like during the tournament, but before the tournament, I thought Gordon was one of our best players in the warm-up games. So we know Gordon's got the quality, we know Rashford's got the quality. So, it's one of those trust the process situations.
Well, I think I've said quite openly that I think both of them players are good cameo players to bring on with 20 minutes, half an hour to go. So it's always going to be difficult to think on who do you start. But yeah, look, like you said, I think Rashford is. Can you hear a child screaming?
No.
No, you didn't pick it up. Okay, I mean that's going to have to get edited out now because that's going to make. Anyway, as long as you can't, there's no children. I thought I could hear a child screaming. There's no children screaming in this household.
Just
Other
digging a hole.
households may apply. Um, okay, let's move it on. Yeah, I didn't. This is what I was saying to you the other day, Grace. I love these like this World Cup podcast that we're running at the minute. It's so refreshing because both of us are just so much more chilled out. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, back to the lineups. Yes, you're right. Gordon and Rashford both haven't really cemented that starting spot, but everywhere else in the pitch pretty much covered.
Yeah. I think look, it's one of those games where you can't really talk. You're sort of edging round a game that is just so you just want to get talking about the game, don't you? Because it was. I mean, first of all, did you stay up or did you watch the? I mean, I know the answer to this, but the viewers don't. Did you watch the replay the next day?
No, I didn't. What did I do? So yeah, I tried to power through. As you'll know, I spent the weekend in London anyway, doing stuff for GME Media, who also present this podcast. Nice little throwaway there. Yeah, I was doing some work in London, so by the time I got back on Sunday, I was like, yeah, I was in two minds, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to power through. If I go to sleep, I won't get back up for it. Turns out I had about an hour's nap before the kick-off. Woke up to the game being delayed, so I was like, right, I'll have another 40 minutes, and then by the time it got to about quarter to two, I was like, right, I'm locked in. Luckily, I had the Monday off work, so I powered through, and yeah, I watched it live. Do you know what? I'm glad I did as well because watching that on replay, it's so hard days to avoid any spoilers. Like whether it's the result, goal scorers, anything. It's just, I mean, we don't because we also publish about it as well. But it's just so hard to avoid stuff. I'm so glad I watched this live.
Me too. I mean, I did have work on Monday, but there was nothing going to stop me from watching this game. I'd made my decision, and I just decided to be tired on Monday, quite frankly. I think we all had a similar situation where obviously it was Norway Brazil before our game, and that was a tasty little fixture as well. So I did watch that game, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to get a little bit of sleep beforehand. And I think I probably got about an hour as well. I couldn't settle because I knew I was getting up. And it was like so much pressure to sleep because I needed sleep. I had had a nap on Sunday afternoon, like expecting to like not sleep that much that night. So I probably had about 40 minutes, an hour. Then the delay happened, so I probably had about another half an hour. And then just like you, quarter two, I was up and I was locked in. I was ready for it. Cup of tea was made. I didn't really have a choice, to be honest with you, because who was in the house? It was just me and Edward in the house. And he was definitely staying up and watching it. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have been able to sleep had I heard him screaming. So, and there was plenty to scream about. So, I don't regret it in the slightest. I genuinely went to work happily tired on Monday. It was just a classic. It was a brilliant game.
Do you think Monday was probably the record for the um, most people calling in sick to work?
Probably. And I feel bad for anybody who is actually ill
Yeah,
because you're not going to be able to convince anybody that you are actually ill on Monday.
I had the same during the Euros. During the Euros, I don't know what I'd done. I smashed my knee and I had a knee injury, and I stupidly went to the doctors the next day wearing an England shirt the night after England had played, and he took one look at me and he went, "Yeah, nah, mate, you're all right." I went, "No, I'm actually not all right though." I said, "Like, I actually can't walk." He went, "Are you sure you just didn't have too much to drink last night?" I was like, "I wasn't even at the pub." I said, "I watched it at home." So I can't move, but even the doctor was not believing me. I was like, "Really? Okay." Um, but yeah, look, anyway, should we dive into the game? Let's talk about some of the talking points. Do you want to, what's it? What's the right way? Summarize or the synopsis? We'll go summarize because I can say that one. Do you want to
Mm.
summarize your little summary of the game? What am I saying? This is a car crash today.
God, it's just yeah, all fun and games today. I'm not going to run through each goal because there's five goals to get through, but I will go through the sort of the like running. Oh God, I
Yeah,
can't even come up with the word now. Like what happened at certain times, like in chronological order. That's what I'm going
yeah.
for.
You can go back. I did a little 10-minute video where I sort of broke down each individual goal anyway. So yeah, if you want to go back and check that out, you can do. But we'll let Grace do her thing because she's good at that.
So, okay. So Mexico came out, I mean, exactly how I thought they would do. It was an incredible atmosphere at the Azteca. And everything sort of was in Mexico's favor in that sense. They had that 12th man. It really felt like it was going to be a magnificent night for Mexico. Do you know what I mean? Excuse me. And it was a good start from them. I felt quite nervous. I felt like the game was a little bit tricky. And then Jude Bellingham just decided to turn it on. I mean, the man's been incredible. It is so hard to be a girl. It's just as a side note, it's so hard to be a girl in this tournament because I want to say I've fallen in love with Jude Bellingham in this tournament, but not in the way that other girls. I don't mean it like that. I mean it in the sense that watching him play football has been just divine this tournament. I have fallen in love with Jude Bellingham, the player, this tournament. I really have. I think he's been magnificent.
I wanted to ask you this question because I know you've not slagged off Bellingham. That's probably the wrong word, but you've maybe criticised, maybe basically.
I'm
I,
highly critical of him.
I wanted to ask you now, after that performance, do you think Jude Bellingham is now an elite player?
Yes, I would put him in elite. I don't think I would put him in world class just yet because for me, it takes a lot to be considered world class. I think Mbappe has just reached that point. Do you know what I mean? I think Mbappe can now, you can seriously talk about him as being a world class player, and we're all going to talk about him even when he's retired. He's that type of player now. I think Bellingham absolutely is heading towards that because he's just magnificent going forward and in defensive contribution as well. So he scored the two goals within 2 minutes of each other. They were just, it was Bellingham just in the right place at the right time. He knew exactly where he needed to be. Two great goals were 2-0 up. And then was it after 2-1? Or go on.
I just want to mention. I know we're not going to break each one down, but I just want to mention that first goal because you obviously you got to see him week in, week out. The work that Declan Rice put in for that goal, that was classic Rice, wasn't it? Just running into.
Yeah.
Because I think, especially with England, I don't know whether. I think people forgetting he's played a lot of games this season, a lot of minutes in them legs. And I think maybe we've not seen him at his fullest in terms of when he gets the ball, he's maybe getting his head up and looking for a pass. Whereas this time he actually drove forward with the ball, and Saka hugged that line and kept the width of the pitch, which I thought from Declan Rice, it was good to see him just running into that space and just driving through everybody. Whereas I'm not sure we've seen that all tournament from him.
No, and I think that was something he was really starting to develop in his sort of last season at West Ham. We started to see that more, him sort of driving with the ball and being, having more of a contribution to that attacking outlet. And I think that felt like I was watching that movement felt like I was watching Rice just before he moved to Arsenal. And I mean that in the sense that, at Arsenal it is slightly different. That's just, the way that it is. And I still think he's absolutely class for Arsenal, but that was Declan Rice just doing what Declan Rice does best. And yeah, you're right. I've watched him week in, week out. I've watched him become the player that he is. And Declan Rice is one of those players that you almost don't need to mention him every game because if you don't mention him, he's just doing his job well. Do you know what I mean? He's just an anchor. That's exactly what he is. He's an anchor. And he's so important to that spine of England. And he's just, the one thing I'm going to give Bellingham credit for is his passion. He wants to fight for every ball. He gets upset when he makes a mistake, when that full-time whistle went, he nearly cried at the end of it. You just think that's the type of attitude that Bellingham and Rice both have. And I think actually it's going to be really interesting when Kane is no longer captain of England, who's going to be captain, because I think a lot of people are going to assume it's going to be Declan Rice. I think Bellingham's doing a really good job of being that really vocal, really passionate player that you want your captain to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Kane made it 2-0 pretty. No, what it wasn't Kane. Was it Kane? No, it was
No, it's Bellingham again.
Bellingham, sorry, made it 2-0. Yeah, pretty. Was it Kane who got the assist for that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting that from. Okay, yeah, he made it 2-0 pretty much straight away as well, wasn't it? And then did you want to talk about the Mexico first goal? Is that what you were leading to?
Yeah, well, it was frustrating, wasn't it? Because we were 2-0 up. I'm glad we had that buffer. But Mexico really, went they threw everything but the kitchen sink at us before half time. They did get themselves a goal. I think I don't remember this. I haven't looked back at this. It's terrible. I haven't looked back at it since I watched it on Monday. But was it a half volley?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So, I mean, one thing that we have done, to be fair, and all of the teams have deserved it, and we have to do the same with Mexico. We have to give Mexico credit. They played fantastically. They was really really good. They tested England as much, and that last half an hour, I think a lot of it's got to be on how amazing England were in that last half an hour. But Mexico would they put themselves in that situation as well to get themselves back into the game. I thought they were very good, and yeah, okay, maybe they played how we expected them to, but it's on their home soil, so they're gonna sort of like dominate that like possession and stuff like that. And it's a tough stadium to go to, but credit to Mexico.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Go on.
yeah, the free kick it comes in, and Saka should be doing better. I think he miscues the clearance, doesn't he? And it bobbles down to forgive me, I can't remember who scored it for Mexico, but he absolutely hammers it into the back. Pickford doesn't stand a chance with this goal.
No, absolutely not. And to be fair to them, they deserve to get themselves a goal. To be honest with you, it probably, in terms of how the last 10 minutes of that half went, or yeah, let's say last 10 minutes, it probably should have been 2-2 at half time.
Oh,
But I think it was after 2-1. It might have been when we were at 2-0. But Bellingham again, I'm going to bring him up. I mean, the defensive um
that clear.
uh the clearance, that's the word I'm looking for. The clearance was phenomenal. The timing was just I heard someone say he might as well have scored a hat trick in the first half because those two goals were vital, but that clearance was just as vital as a goal. And we went in 2-1 up at half time.
when I saw that live, I was like, how on earth has he missed that from there? So I thought I'd seen it. I thought he's gone for pure power, and he's just absolutely skied it. And then when they showed the replay, I was like, that is unbelievable from Bellingham. What a clearance that was.
But it shows you how like his motivation. It's just it's pure passion. It's pure passion.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to say when we was talking about him being elite and world class. You see, the thing is, I think Bellingham, world class, you want to see that week in, week out, and I think Bellingham has to be up for the game in terms to get to that level. To put in that type of performance, he has to want to do it. Whereas players who are genuinely world class just do it anyway. Um,
Hmm.
he needs a lot of motivating, I think, Bellingham.
Yeah, and I think it's also dependent on the tactics. It's dependent on his position. It's dependent on the players that play around him. And I think you're right. Someone like Mbappe does tend to just walk into a team and sort of have his say, and Messi does the same thing. You know, Ronaldo's definitely done that, where they just walk into that team and they everything revolves around them, and not necessarily in a selfish way, just because they've got the quality for it to revolve around them. And I think that I agree is the difference between an elite player and a world class player.
Yeah, so I think at that point, um, it was like, let's just get to half time for England. One thing I do want to highlight though was I don't think he's had. I mean, we spoke about this in depth already, so we won't talk about it too long. But I don't think Pickford's had a fantastic tournament. We've definitely seen him play better. Oh, some of them saves that he pulled out in this game against Mexico were fantastic. That one that was down to his left hand side, unbelievable. I can't remember, was it the first or second half where it was curling to top corner and he just leaps and just gets a hand to it, pushes it over the crossbar. Again, I think he had a really good game, Pickford.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think he needed that performance. I've been a bit worried about in this tournament, but there's something about, and we'll talk about it at the end when we sort of summarize the game um, from a what it means perspective. But there's something about this game that just everybody understood the assignment. Everybody understood the we sort of walked into it a bit of an underdog, dare I say it, because of the situation, because of the context of the game. You know, that's a really tough place to go. Everyone was talking about, you know, the altitude and all that sort of stuff. There's so much going against us that everybody just understood we needed to get that result. And Pickford, you know, to bring it back to what we were talking about, Pickford was one of those players that just turned up. He just turned up and did exactly what you need Pickford to do in knockout football in a tournament. And you're absolutely right. He made some fabulous saves.
Yeah, well, we've already mentioned it. That first goal, there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. When you it was too close and hit way too hard for him to even get anywhere near it. So I'm not going to think it. The penalty shout, I do think Pickford went too early. I think he was maybe expecting the stutter, and what he was trying to do was trying to send him that way. It kind of worked in terms of he knew that Jimenez was going to stutter, so he'd go one way and then he'd leap and try and make the save. But the penalty's that far in the corner, and Pickford hasn't got the reach for it. So I think I can see what he was trying to do, but he'd sort of gone a bit too early. I think.
Mhm.
Other than that, I think he had a fantastic game, as did a lot of these players. I mean, I could sit and talk about each and every one of them in their own right because this was probably the proudest I've ever been of a group of England players because they were fantastic. They really were.
I think they embodied England fans in that game. You know, that passion, that ride or die. And to be fair, I'm just about to bring up, we're into the second half now, Jarell Kwanzaa's red card, which I think was the right decision. I've not got a problem with that being a red, but I did feel a bit bad for him because I thought he'd had a really good game.
Yeah, he did. He did. But again, in real time, you're thinking, what a tackle that is. That's fantastic." And then
Exactly.
you look back, and you think, "Yeah, okay, that you are probably have." There was a lot of arguments saying that he's gone over the top of the ball. And I'm like, "Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't go that high on somebody." The only thing that and I don't think this would have affected the decision because it's a red card at the end of the day. The only thing I'm sick of seeing, and this has happened ever since VAR came in, when that referee goes to the screen, the first thing he sees is a still image of his studs going into the leg, and then he gets shown the snippet of his leg, his boot going through the leg, and I'm like, you need to show the full length of it, really. Like, I'm not saying stand there for 3 minutes watching the whole highlight package, but when the referee goes up and he sees that still image, what's the first thing that's going to come to his mind? It always looks worse when you freeze frame it.
Oh, 100%. I think you could definitely freeze frame a lot of very good tackles this season, and you'd think, oh, that's a bit dodgy, because you're absolutely right. The still image doesn't do it any justice. Yeah, I've got no complaints about it. And to be fair, I feel like it was an event in a game that we didn't want, but it rallied us all together. I mean, it really did. He put on John Stones, he took off Bukayo Saka, which is obviously a shame, but Saka did 60 minutes and Saka is not fully fit. So I think that was probably, the best choice to bring someone. He brought on John Stones, and I have to be honest with you, the level of comfort I had, and I wasn't comfortable, it was nervous, but the level of comfort I had when John Stones was on the pitch was incredible in comparison to when he wasn't. I thought that was the perfect change. I thought he brought stability and he just brought that experience, level-headedness. I don't know about you, but I really loved the substitutions from Tuchel in this game.
Oh, he absolutely smashed every single one of them substitutions. Okay, there's one thing that I will bring up in a minute, so about Morgan Rogers. So remind me on that one. But yeah, you're right with Saka. Look, somebody's going to have to be the fall guy for it. I don't think Saka had a bad game. I don't think he also lit it up either. But like you said, he's not fully fit anyway, so that probably is the right decision. On the other side of that, though, I thought Gordon was fantastic this game. Like I was giving him a bit of grief in the last one, and then he showed me up with the two assists that he got. But I thought he was fantastic this game. This game really suited him, and I thought, yeah, fair play, mate. You've smashed that. And I think now, like we said at the start, I think he has every right to start the next game.
Yeah, and I think it is a case, we talk about I think sometimes we try to be really categorical with players and we have to be they're good or bad. And that's just not necessarily the case. When you've got the embarrassment of riches that England have, there are going to be players that suit I can't speak, a type of opposition. And their sort of counterpart, the other person that's available in that position, it's not their game. But then the next opposition, it's the other way around. I do think there is an element of that with Gordon and Rashford, and I think they're different enough for that to be an advantage for us. And I I thought Gordon probably was man of the match had Bellingham not scored those two and made that clearance. I genuinely thought, and I'm bringing him up because of the penalty shout. He was the one that won the penalty, and he just was awesome. He was everything that Barcelona have just paid for. And yeah, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. You don't want anybody else on the end of a penalty other than Kane, or do you? Because we remember the France one. But to be fair, in this game we saw two of the, two very, very good penalty takers taking penalties. Harry Kane buried his, so it was 3-1 to England.
Yeah, I'm just going to touch on them three substitutions. All of them. John Stones, uh, Dejan Spence. I thought he had a fantastic cameo. He really impressed me, and Dan Burn as well. Fantastic. He was solid in the air.
Awesome. He did exactly what you need Dan Burn to come on and do. And there was so many nerves Dan Burn coming on. But I trusted with the way the game had gone, with the sort of defensive structure we now needed to show, I was fully for Dan Burn coming on because if there's one thing Dan Burn can do well, it's the fundamentals. And he so demonstrated that.
Yeah. The only thing I maybe you could question with them, I think it was right to bring Morgan Rogers on for Harry Kane. At that, I think it was in the 90th minute, and there was 11 minutes still to go. And I thought he's brave taking off Harry Kane when with extra time looming. I thought it's a brave choice, but look, it paid off. And if it hadn't, could we sit here and say what were you doing? That like terrible decision? Yes, we could have done, but he didn't. He did work out in the end. But I thought with 11 minutes to go, you hope that this gets seen out, mate. Because if you go into extra time and you've taken Kane off, yeah, okay, you maybe could have brought on a Watkins or something, but yeah, I think it might have raised one or two eyebrows.
Yeah, especially if it hadn't gone our way, I think it definitely would have done. But that's being England manager, isn't it? I mean, I felt okay with it because he kept Bellingham on, and I think we always had that attacking outlet when Bellingham was on the pitch. He was, I mean, I've never spoken this positively about Bellingham before. Like, I genuinely have adored watching him play in this tournament, and he was huffing and puffing at the end of that match. But in every situation where he needed to put the afterburners on, he did every time, and you could see he was knackered at the end of the game. But he deserved to be knackered. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those where I imagine he could have easily toddled off in the 80th minute, but he needed to be on that pitch. He needed to, run and fight for every ball, and that's exactly what he did. So I felt okay with Kane coming off with the idea that Bellingham was staying on.
Yeah, no, that's a fair argument. I think every player, you look like as soon as that final whistle went, even the substitutions, they just fell to the knees. They were just like, "Oh, thank God for that." They all absolutely ran their asses off, and they ain't it. They absolutely ain't to just collapse on the floor and just say, "Yeah, we've done our job." Should we have a little? Should we have a little moment for Jordan Henderson?
Oh, Jordan Henderson. I mean, I have seen so many memes about this.
That is, it's got to be some sort of record, right? A yellow card, stretch it off, and no minutes played. It's got to be a record, surely.
Incredible. Incredible. I mean, I feel for him because did you see his fall? He landed very nastily on that arm, and it looks like he's out for the rest of the World Cup. But to be fair, I think I'd keep, he's still going to be in the squad. I'd keep him in there, and for his personality, I'd keep him in there.
I think we maybe had this discussion before when the squad was announced, and I'm a big fan believer of having a Jordan Henderson type in that squad, especially with some of the younger players around to sort of like coach them. I think we'd had this discussion before anyway in a previous podcast, but I would imagine he'll be fully there for the game against Norway. Even if he's on like just on the sidelines, just but I mean, even during that game, I think that's how he ended up getting the other card. He was just stood on the
Yeah.
touchline, boxing the players, just coaching them through it. And I was like, this is why we have him there.
Yeah, and I think he proved his value in many ways. And I do, and I had no problem Henderson going because, well, I say I had no problem. I was fine with Henderson going because Maguire wasn't in that squad. I think if Maguire had been in that squad, I'd have said that's too many of those type players. But I was fine with Henderson going because I think you're right. I think that mindset, that experience, that stability that he provides, and like you say, coaching on the sidelines and just being everybody's cheerleader in many ways, it was right, and I imagine it got through to the players as well.
It's quite clever, and I'm surprised maybe Arteta haven't really sort of gone this way. But you've got to remember, a manager has only got his technical area to work with, but a substitute has got the full length of the pitch. Well, full one half of the pitch anyway. So Jordan Henderson is going to go down there to warm up. I think he's going to be doing a lot more than just warming up down there. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite clever. It's quite smart to have that in your back pocket.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do just want to mention the sort of cultural impact. Maybe a bit too far, but I don't know about you. World Cup spirit just wasn't. It was around, but it wasn't massive. I really felt it on Monday, and I don't mean during the game. I mean after the game. There was a lift in everywhere I went because of that England result, and everybody was just excited, and everybody felt connected and really excited for the next game. And it was just, it was a really nice atmosphere on Monday. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think part of that's down to the win as well, though, isn't it? I think it. I'm
Oh yeah.
quite, I'm quite. Do you know? I think for me, this might be a bold statement. For me, I'd be perfectly happy with America never hosting a World Cup ever again. In terms of it's fantastic for the infrastructure in terms of the stadiums and the capacity that they can hold and the air conditioning and stuff like that. But the politics that have surrounded this World Cup, and we've seen the likes. I don't want to get into it because I could sit here about half an hour. But the red card being rescinded for the USA, and I, man, I don't want to. I'd seen a video of Donald Trump talking about it, and he said, "I didn't even know you could get red carded in football. I didn't even know what a red card meant." And I thought, "What are you doing, mate? Like, just
Mm.
why are you getting involved?" And I think I was quite open about this on a podcast we've done a few weeks back on terms of just I'm not feeling it because of the politics around it. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It does feel a lot. It did feel a lot better on Monday. Again, I don't. I think the win helped that, but yeah, I don't want the World Cup to end, but I would also be happy to not see it return to America for a while.
Yeah, and I mean it's mad, isn't it, that they've hosted two and we've hosted one. Don't you think that's mad? That we are we are
Especially
the
when we can't even get the name of the sport right. You know what I mean? It's mental.
but you're right. I mean, it is all political, isn't it? And you struggle. It's hard doing these things, doing podcasts and stuff like that, because they are. they are linked to politics, even though that's not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the football that's on the pitch. And, there was an incident yesterday in the Egypt game that you just can't help but think, what is the motivation there? Because it can't be footballing decisions. It can't be, just to be specific on the Egypt situation. Yeah, there was a couple of penalty shouts for Egypt, but the specific one where Salah's taken down and then Argentina score up the other end, the right decision there is to chalk that off and give Egypt a penalty in the final minutes, but they're not going to do that. And it feels wrong.
Well,
You have to question it.
they can rule out an Egypt goal and go back for an incident that happened 150 yards away up there. Do you know what I mean? So it's yeah. Look, I'm not. I love a conspiracy. I'm not here to get into the conspiracy side of it. I think there's a few raised eyebrows, especially if you've seen that all the referees that have been announced for the France game, and it's all Argentinian referees.
No,
Have you not seen this?
no.
I've not seen this. Every single referee is Argentinian. The official, the both linesmen, the fourth official, the VAR, every single one of them is Argentinian.
That's so naughty.
I'm surprised. Do you know what? I think it could maybe get overturned. I don't really know how it works, but let's have a. Is it on? Yeah, the referee, the assistant referee one, assistant referee two, which I'm assuming is both linesmen, fourth official, and the reserve assistant referee is also Argentinian.
Like
Mental.
you can't, like it's so obvious. Do you know what I mean? That you can't not question that, and that's what this World Cup has just been surrounded by, really, isn't it? Is that it's there, but we can't mention it type things. Like it's the elephant in the room, and you don't want to mention it, but it is also becoming a part of the game, and that's really frustrating.
Well, then, well, the conspiracy is they want Messi to win the World Cup, right? But why? Because I mean, he's already done it for one. Now he's not like he's going his career without doing it. Is it because he plays in America and they're trying to get
Yeah, I
more?
think it's that.
Yeah, they're trying to get more eyes on the sport. Like I said earlier, if you want people to get more eyes on it, use the fucking proper name for it, mate. That'll sort a lot of your problems out. Yeah, people are not going to just because Messi's won the World Cup. People are not going to tune into it because the quality's not there in the MLS. Not yet, anyway. But yeah. Well, anyway, should we get back on to England? We'll summarise that and we'll talk about some of the other fixtures later on.
Yeah, I think that as an England fan who hasn't been very inspired by England coming into this World Cup, that's the most connected I've felt to an England squad in a long time.
It's
That
ir-
moment.
it's ironic because we've been saying about how we was expecting England to be quite more free flowing and a bit more attacking this one, and the proudest moment we've had for England is how defensively solid they were during that game, and was like, this is prime Southgate. This is mental, isn't it? It's like it's quite ironic, isn't it? After all the sort of media attention around it.
But you say that, the truth is Prime Southgate was waiting for the trouble to happen and then change something.
Oh,
The
he,
truth is Tuchel saw it coming. He saw it coming. I mean, even we didn't even mention, the O'Reilly situation where I think it was just before the hydration break. There was an issue with O'Reilly, and I think had they pulled that back to VAR, it wouldn't have shocked me if he'd have seen red. And
yeah,
Tuchel just took him off. There was just no right. You're off. When you're not playing another minute. And I just think that it could have been the plan anyway, but I just think he almost saw what Mexico were going to do before Mexico even saw what they were going to do. Do you see what I mean? And I just thought it was brilliant.
yeah, no, you're right. I think as well. Someone mentioned if we'd have gone 1-0 up at the Aztec or whatever, Southgate would have parked the bus straight away. It'd have gone 1-0 up and it'd have gone, right, we're shutting up shop. I mean, okay, it maybe would have got that second goal pretty quickly and made it two. There's definitely no way we'd have gone for the third. I think under Southgate we'll lose that game.
Yes, I probably don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Should we summarise any last final talking points? Oh, do you want to talk about the final Mexico penalty?
Yes, I was going to mention this with you. I don't know how I feel about this being given as a penalty.
So this, I think this is going to seem incredibly biased because it's two England fans talking about it, but I don't think this is a penalty.
I don't think it is.
But if this was Tottenham West Ham and West Ham don't get the penalty, would you be annoyed? Do you know what I mean? It's difficult because I don't think it is. I think it's two people that have gone to kick the ball together. His foot's just got there before him, and he's kicked the bottom of his foot. There was no malicious intent. You know what I mean? He's not trying to clear the
Yeah,
play. Can I say
I
that I think I've seen why he's given it? Well, yeah, there's contact in the box, so yeah, I can see why. I think it's very soft, very soft.
I just think with all of these decisions, what can a defender do now in the box? He's clearing the ball. That's what he's doing. And his eyes are firmly on clearing the ball. He's completely unaware of what's going on behind him because he's just clearing the ball in any way, shape, or form he possibly can. And I'm upset as an England fan if he's not doing that. So I think you're right. I think we've gone too far with what is sort of manageable, what is something a defender can, and I say defender, I know it's Kane, but a defender can control, and what is just a bad choice. Rushing in the for example, the France game. Desiree Doué, he sort of dribbles into the box. That is one of those stonewall penalties that you just go, he stuck a foot in. It was the wrong choice. We all knew he was going to because it was Paraguay. That was the way they were playing the game, and that's why Doué did it. Cool. That's a tongue twister, isn't it? Doué did it. That's why he did it. So you can sort of say that's a bad choice, but it was the choice he was always going to make. This situation is so on that line of what does a defender do in that situation? What can a defender do? You're almost, I feel like we're protecting keepers too much. I feel like we're saying defenders can't do anything anymore. I'm saying that it's not a contact sport anymore because you can't have any sort of contact in the box. I just feel like we're going too far. And like you said, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we're both England fans. But I can't sit here and say, yes, it's a penalty. And we're very honest, aren't we? We're very honest. We sit here and say, yeah, it's a penalty. It's like the Kwanzaa thing. We're not sitting here defending what Kwanzaa did. That's a red card. It should be a red card. It's really hard because I can't, like you said, I can see why they've given it. I don't necessarily like why they've given it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on that, by the way, 13 fouls from Paraguay. How did they not get a single yellow card in that?
Oh,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have absolutely loved them to have knocked out France. Do you really want to do? I mean, what, does it matter what way you do it? I suppose if you're knocking out a team like France, but that was the game plan from the off. But how a single yellow card wasn't given. I mean, they had. I mean, again, I can't stand XG. They had an XG of 0.13. Do you know what I mean? 13 fouls, not a single. 24% possession, by the way. They was never going to win this game. But yeah, how a single yellow card wasn't given was beyond me.
I watched that game in amazement. And what's unbelievable is there was three yellow cards given in that game for French players who did barely anything. I mean, Bradley Barcola got the first yellow card of the game. He barely made any contact. I don't even know how that's a yellow card. I thought that refereeing display was horrendous. I didn't think he had any control. And do you know what? Believe it or not, I'm starting to feel a bit sorry for France in this competition because it really feels like they are against them. Mbappe's had to deal with racist abuse from a politician this week. Do you know what I mean? It's just unbelievable.
That yeah, so I'd seen a statement that he put out against it. I didn't know what it was about. Let's be honest with you, I missed it. But okay, yeah, wow.
It's just wrong on every level, and so many people were having him about not shaking the hand of the Paraguayan goalkeeper. I'm not really that shocked he didn't because Paraguay went out there to injure them essentially. And that's not Paraguay's fault because they were never told they couldn't. And that's the issue. That boundary was never like made for them. It was never set for them. So they just carried on. And I think I get it. I really get it. They won and they're through. And I think that's justice really. Um and I just,
If
this
Paraguay
Argentina.
done that, though, man, there'd have been an uproar, surely.
Oh, uh, but the type of uproar with Balogun being able to play the game, just. You know, that's what I mean though, is that these things are just being swept under the carpet and you just think, is this really a fair competition now? You know, um, and I just feel a bit sorry for France because I do feel like they're doing everything they can because they see France as being Argentina's biggest threat. I just feel like something controversial is going to happen and France get knocked out.
I'm not. I'm. I'm not sure we've had the last of this Egypt Argentinian game either. To be honest with you, I think there'll be some sort of. I don't know what. I don't know what Egypt can do. They're not going to just bring. Not going to reinstate him into the competition, are they? So I don't really know what they can do. But I don't think we've had the last of it. Should we give me your man of the match for the game? I think I know who you're going to go with anyway. But give me your man of the match, and then we'll talk quickly about the other games happening around him.
I don't think I mentioned him at all. I'm going to go for Bellingham.
It's annoying because I really wanted to give it to Gordon. I think, like you said earlier, if it wasn't for what Bellingham had done, Gordon is your next choice. I thought it was fantastic, but yeah, it kind of has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of has to be. Should we have a look at some of the games briefly around us? What have we spoke about? We've mentioned Paraguay, France. Obviously, they're through. Um, who Brazil, Norway, Neymar. I think that pretty much wrapped his probably his career up nearly, surely.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, I think we've seen the last of Neymar in a World Cup, and I think we've seen the last of Ronaldo in a World Cup as well. Yeah, that was that. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it onto the Portugal game. Just to stick with Brazil, Norway. I thought Norway fully deserved that. I think I'm again. I'm adoring watching Norway play. I really have fallen in love with
Well,
them as a team.
I wanted to ask, obviously, England are going to play Norway next. What is your thoughts on this? Because I'm thinking Norway have been good, but they're relying heavily on Haaland.
They are, but the one thing I would say is it might play into our hands a little bit because we are better against teams that come at us. You know, with those spaces, we can hit teams where it hurts. I'd be more worried if we were playing a team that prefer sitting back, that are happy to surrender possession. I think Norway are on that confidence high, and I think they're going to go there and really try and win this. And I respect them for that, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, I feel quite sad, to be honest with you, that we're the ones that potentially. Well, we might go home, but we could also knock them out because I think they've been fantastic. And I think as long as we deal with Haaland, which is easier said than done, I think we might be all right.
I was well, with Stones and Gahey in there, who know exactly how Haaland play. You never know, do you? But I was fuming with this Norway game. I think Haaland had about 7 touches, and yes, okay, he got the 2 goals. How is he getting man of the match over that over the Norwegian goalkeeper? What a performance he had! It was
What
unbelievable,
a performance.
unbelievable. I was like, again, that's the striker scores a tap in and gets all the plaudits, whereas the goalkeeper can pull out a worldie every 10 minutes. He spills the ball into the back of the net, and he's the worst player on the pitch. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
so overlooked, but he had a fantastic game. What's his name? The Norwegian
Is
goalkeeper,
it Nyland?
Ireland. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, yeah, I was fuming when I saw that. But yeah, I think we've seen Neymar bow out now. Do you know what? I had this conversation today because we'll get onto the Portugal Spain, and you're right. I think we've seen the last of Ronaldo, and I hope for Portugal's sake we've seen the last of Ronaldo as well, because what a team they could be without his influence. But the next World Cup, I think, isn't that being spread out between Spain, Portugal, and Morocco? I
Yes, it is
wouldn't be
indeed.
surprised if he gets his wheelchair on that pitch. Do you know what I mean? Like, it, he's going to find a way, I think, to make an appearance in the next World Cup.
I think it's oh God, how old is he going to be? He'll be in his 40s, won't he?
He's already in his 40s, I think.
Is he? I don't even know at this point. I don't know, but I think you're right. I think maybe he'll be like a player coach role or something, and he'll sit on the bench and come on for 5 minutes or something.
Oh,
Because you're
mate,
right.
41. So he'll be 45 on the next World Cup.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
Mate,
Yeah.
honestly,
Why not?
I'm telling you now, I'm calling it. I'm calling it 4 years in advance. Ronaldo will be playing for Portugal in Portugal at the next World Cup.
Okay. I don't disagree. I think he'll find a way.
he will find a way. And like I said, for Portugal's sake, I hope he doesn't, because there could be some team without him and the me show. Fuck off, Ronaldo. Um, that's I'm just doing more work myself. That's two swear words. I've got a blank out now. USA. I give them all the plaudits, didn't I, on the last podcast, and then they go crash out to Belgium 4-1. Did you see the keeper error?
I did see the keeper error. Yeah, I think me and my colleague were talking about this the other day because her other half is American. And she stayed up for the England game, and her other half asked her if she was going to stay up for the USA game, and she went, "Absolutely not, I'm too exhausted." And she was very glad she didn't. Um, I mean, she used to live in America anyway, so she's got a sort of tie to them, not just her husband. Um, but this was just a case. She said to me, and I totally agree. They just hadn't been truly tested yet, and I know this Belgium side isn't the greatest. Well, it's not the greatest side in the competition. It's also not the greatest Belgium side we've seen in the last sort of decade or so. Um, but I think the Balogun red card situation just fired up Belgium, and they just took it all out on them. And yeah, 4-1.
Yeah, we spoke about Argentina, Egypt. So I think we could spend another 20 minutes, half an hour talking about that game. But we've mentioned what we need to mention. Switzerland beat Colombia on penalties. Not really much else to say on that, is it? Just a boring
No,
0-0.
cagey, cagey, cagey.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to point out is, are we going to stop letting defenders take penalties anytime soon? Did you see Sanchez's attempt? When a centre back's gone to learn, man?
Well, who is it? Oh, you say that. Who was it that took a penalty for us?
That'd
For
be
West Ham.
for
No,
West.
for West Ham this season. Mavropanos. Oh my God, he was incredible at it. So
Well,
no, I'm not going to agree with that.
that's kind of the thing in it, is that these defenders, and it's kind of my sort of philosophy when taking penalties, they just put the foot through it. But
Yeah,
if you're going to do that, you've got to hit the target. You know what I mean? You can't you fucking. That's the first rule, isn't it? It's just get the shot on target. But yeah, it's a shame because I think Colombia can be a decent side as well. They've got some good players. Uh,
and I would have quite liked to have seen Argentina versus Colombia.
absolutely. Is that who Argentina got next? Switzerland.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a bye, isn't it? I think for Argentina. Do you want to give us your prediction for England, Norway?
I think this is going to be tight, but I'm gonna back England. Why not? I feel excited for Saturday, which is a really nice feeling. So I'm gonna go 2-1 England.
Are you in the pub for it, or are you at home?
No, we're at home. The thing is, right, is because it's a whole family affair in my house, it's like being at the pub anyway. And it's just, there's no point. We've got a better screen here. Do you know what I mean? We just have a lovely time. The whole house comes to a stop and we all just sit and enjoy the football. So no, I will not be in the pub, will you?
I could very well be in the pub. Yeah, I could be. Um, I would like to say that I'd watch it at home because I can spend a little bit more time sort of I'm not analysing the game because I don't really analyse it when I'm watching it. I live in the moment of the game and I'll think about it afterwards. But I could I might not even see the end of it, mate. To be fair, Saturday night in the pub, who knows? I might not make it to the next podcast. You might have to get.
So tune into the next podcast when it's either Matty and me or me and my brother.
It's just you talking to a screen, just like I'll just put a little cardboard cutout myself here with a pint in my hand. I'll go for. I don't know because I thought Mexico were going to beat us as well. To be fair, so um, oh, this is tough. Keep Haaland quiet. I think it could be an easy day at the office, but that's easier said than done. I think Norway probably do. Yeah, 2-1. I think you smashed that, mate.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know yet. We could be battered, but thank you.
You know what? Sorry, I'm going to go for another 3-2.
Nice, go on.
3-2. We're gonna control the game. We're gonna be 3-1 up, and Haaland's gonna nick one just in the last couple of minutes to put us back on the edge of our seats. But I'm going for another 3-2.
Oh, I can't take edge of my seat any longer.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, mate?
No, I am. I don't know what to do with myself tonight because we are recording this on a Wednesday and there is no game on tonight. So yeah, I'm gonna. Well, I say I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. There's always something I can do. But yes, I don't have anything more to add because we're just gonna wait now for the quarterfinals.
What you need to do, mate, is you need to have a night off and go to bed. I think we're all still catching up from Monday.
Well, I wish I could. I probably should. You're right. You're right. I should take your advice.
No, content's got content. Whatever it is you do, Grace, enjoy your night. Thank you for doing this podcast again with me. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, do whatever it is that you need to do on whatever platform you're watching on, and we will see you hopefully when England are in the semi-finals.
See you later.
Bye, Grace.
Bye.